Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we are going to finish up our Pong project. We have a lot to do, so let's just jump right in. Basically what we're going to do in this video is we are going to create the main game loop that is going to allow our game to run. We're going to move the ball around the screen. We're going to handle the ball bouncing off of off of the top and the bottom of the screen, bouncing off the paddles, handle the score, basically everything else we need for this game to run properly. All right, so let's get into it. Main game loop. So with this main game loop, what we're going to do is we're going to create a while loop, and it's going to be an infinite loop, so while true. Now inside this loop, we're going to have all the things that we want for this game to work. First, we want to update our screen. Basically redraw the graphics on our screen every frame of the game. Then let's move our ball. Move the ball. Now the way we're going to move the ball is by setting the X value and the Y value of the ball based on its current coordinate and that DX and DY value we created when we created the ball. So these values are going to change how fast the ball moves. So let's do that. So let's say ball.setX, and the X coordinate is going to be based on the current X coordinate, so ball.xCore plus ball.dx. Basically, it's going to move in relation to the current X coordinate plus however fast it's moving in the dx. So let's go ahead and watch to see what happens there. So we notice that the ball is moving. It's moving very slowly, but it's moving. It's moving. Now the reason why it's moving slowly is because we set it to a very low value here, 0.1. But this is where our tracer comes into play. Remember we wrote this screen.tracer code? This is making it so that the graphics are redrawn at a specific rate. We want that rate to be 0 because now we are handling our graphics redrawing here in screen.update. So now when we run it again, our ball moves at a reasonable rate. And it moves at a nice smooth pace, which is what we want. Oop, I didn't want to minimize that. I want to get rid of it. Okay, so now we have the ball moving on the X. Let's have the ball move on the Y. Luckily, it's basically this, but instead of set X, it's set Y, and instead of X coordinate, it's Y coordinate, and instead of DX, it's DY. So now we can see the ball moving in a diagonal. It's moving in a diagonal. Beautiful. Now we want to handle if the ball collides with the top or the bottom of our screen. So let's see, ball collision with top or bottom. All right, so all we need is a set of if statements. Basically, if ball.y coordinate is, let's say, greater than 290, so if it's above the top of the screen or close to the top of the screen, then ball.setY to 290. Yeah, let's just set it to 290. Basically keep it from being able to go above 290. Then we're going to use a little math trick. So ball.dy, meaning the direction on the y, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply dy by -1. Now in math, anytime we multiply a whole number by a -1, then it just basically reverses its negative or positive. So if I multiply 290 by -1, it becomes -290. If I multiply -290 by -1, it becomes +290. So we're going to use that trick to basically change the direction the ball is moving once it hits the top of the screen. And we're going to do the same thing for the bottom as well. So let's go ahead and write that code. Or better said, let's copy and paste. So if ball.y coordinate is, let's say, less than negative 290, then we will set our y to negative 290, and we'll multiply it by negative 1. So this means we should be able to bounce off the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen. Let's test both. There we go. We just bounced off the top. Now, to get this to move in the correct direction, let's set this to minus so that we go down. There we go. And it worked. So we've bounced off the top and the bottom. Okay, beautiful. Now we need to set our, now we need to handle bouncing off the left and the right wall. Let's do that. So ball collision with left or right. Basically what we want to have happen is whenever it collides with the left or right wall, we want to reset its position and add 1 to the score for whatever player just scored right then. Okay, so we'll do the same check if ball.xcore, so we're checking its x coordinate now. If ball.xcore is greater than, greater than, and we'll say 390, then score underscore 1 plus equals 1. So the player 1 just scored because the ball hit the far right edge of the screen. Okay, so we'll set that to plus, and then we want to clear our display. So sd.clear. Then we want to set our sd to rewrite this line here. So I'm actually going to copy this, and we will modify it. So copy, we'll come down here and keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go. Scroll over, sd.write. Now instead of player 1, 0, we want player 1 score underscore 1. But if we're going to use this feature, we need to put our underscore f in front because this is a formatted output, right? So f and then player 1. Okay, perfect. And we're going to do the same thing over here to player 2. Score underscore 2. So basically it's going to rewrite the code or it's going to rewrite the message at the top to actually display our player 1 score and player 2 score. All right, then we want to reset the ball. We want the ball to go to a specific place. So let's set ball.goto 0, 0. Now there's one more thing we want to do. Basically, we do not want the ball to constantly go in the same direction. We want it to go to a different side of the screen. So like if ball 1, basically we want to flip it on the X. So it goes in a different direction every time. It goes toward a different side every time. So we'll say ball.dx, and we'll use that same multiplication trick. X multiplied by -1. Okay, is that all we need for colliding with left or right? I think so. Let's go ahead and save it and test it. And it worked. So it didn't work on this side because we haven't written that code yet, but notice that our score updated and it reset the ball and shot it off in a different direction. All right, perfect. So let's copy and paste like all good programmers do. And let's think about what we need to change here. Well, we don't want it to be greater than 390. We want it to be less than -390. And then we don't want to update score 1. We want to update score 2. This all can stay the same. That all can stay the same. And that can stay the same. Yeah, perfect. All right. That was easy. So player 1, player 2, player 1, player 2. All right, so our scoring system works. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, perfect. So, we could also change the dy to go in a different direction every time if we want, so that we get a little bit more variability. That'll be fine. I'm okay with that. Minus equals -1. We can do that for both so that we get a little bit more variability. Although, actually, oh, it's because it hits the top. Yeah, let's not do the dy. That was a fun little, that was a little diversion that didn't work out. That's not what we wanted. Perfect. Okay. Okay, what do we need? Oh, we need to be able to bounce off of the paddles. That's the last thing we need to do. So this will actually be pretty easy. Let's write this. Actually, we want this to be inside the loop, so let's make sure we're indented by 1. Ball collision with paddles. All right, so let's do the first one first. We'll say this is going to be kind of a complicated if statement. Basically what we want to do is want to check to see if the ball is in the same x coordinate. Basically we want to see if the ball is in the right place on the x. If it is, we also want to check to see if it is between the top of the paddle and the bottom of the paddle. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit complicated, but just follow along with me. So basically we're going to say if ball dot x coordinate, so x coordinate is greater than 340, meaning it's all the way on the left side of the screen, roughly about where our paddle is going to be on the x. And if our, or sorry, not on the left side, on the right side of the screen. And if our right paddle, right dot y coordinates is less than the ball dot y coordinate and less than the right dot y coordinate plus 50. Okay, let me explain what's going on here. So this right here is hopefully easy to understand. Basically, if the ball is in the same x, let me use this as a demonstration. Oh, actually, it's not going to work until I finish writing this. Let me do that first. All right, so we're basically going to check to see if the ball is anywhere on this x coordinate. Basically, we're going to see if the ball is anywhere here. If it's where the paddle is supposed to be, then we're going to check this. And what this is this is basically saying if our right paddle, y coordinate, so the bottom of the right paddle, is less than the ball y coordinate, meaning the ball's actual coordinate on the y, less than right y coordinate plus 50. So this is saying this is the bottom of the range, this is the top of the range. If the ball falls within the bottom and the top, then that means it's colliding with the paddle. Okay? So if all that is happening, then we basically want to ball.set x to be 340. We don't want it to move past the that value on the x. And we want to change its dx value to multiply equal -1. Basically, reflect it back in the in another direction. Okay. The logic here might be a little bit weird, but it's sound. It works. And because I know it works, actually, let's go ahead and test it. Oh. Ooh, hello. That didn't work. Oh, there we go. That worked. That was weird. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. There we go. Now it's working. That was strange. So we now know that's working. Let's do the same for the left. So with this, if the ball x coordinate is less than -40 and left dot y coordinate is less than ball dot y coordinate is less than left dot y coordinate plus 50, then we'll set x to -340 and then reflect it back. Okay. Whew. All right, so that was the toughest logic string in this entire project right here. But just know that this means lowest end, highest end. As long as the ball is in the middle of those two values, then it's hitting the paddle. Okay, let's test this out and end this video because this project is done. All right. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on. Why did that not work? Why did it go through? It's clipping through. It works if it hits the middle, but if it hits the very bottom, it doesn't work. We might need to play around with those coordinates a little bit to see if we can make that work properly. Well, we could play around with it and tweak these values to make it work exactly the way we want. But for right now, I'm feeling like this game is about as complete as we can make it. So I'm going to call this project done. We are going to move on to something bigger and better. But I think at this point, this project is as good as we can make it. You can obviously improve on this project on your own, but for now, I think this is a pretty good Pong project in Python Turtle. All right, thank you for following along with this whole project, and I will see you next time.